If sitting in your home in Boston, you were given seconds to run for shelter as your town was being hit by a barrage of rockets from, say, Cambridge, what would you do? That is the dilemma that millions of Israeli civilians, both Jewish and Arab, have faced since Monday as 2,000+ missiles have been launched into Israel from Gaza by the Hamas terrorist organization. Israel disengaged from Gaza in 2005, hoping it would become a model for peaceful coexistence. Instead, it was violently taken over by Hamas in 2007, a move in which hundreds of Palestinians died. Hamas, formed in 1987, is a terrorist organization originating from the Muslim Brotherhood. Since the hostile takeover of Gaza, Palestinian civilians have been hostage to the wrath of an organization begot to eradicate the state of Israel. Hamas openly states in the preamble of its charter, Israel will exist and will continue to exist until Islam obliterates it, just as it obliterated others before it. Presently, Hamas is committing a dual war crime as it launches missiles from densely populated areas within the Gaza Strip, directing said rockets without regard into civilian areas of Israel. Hamas fires rockets intending to cause as many casualties as possible. 20 to 30% of the missiles intended for Israel have fallen back on the Palestinian population. We can confirm that the first 9 children killed in Gaza were from Hamas rockets. No country would tolerate this blatant trampling of human rights. We reserve the right to protect our citizens. Since its reinception in 1948, Israel has been on the receiving end of aggression, with surrounding states and non-state actors targeting Israeli civilians. Thus Israel has had to take preventative measures from the very beginning by building air raid shelters and now with obligatory building codes which require every home to be made with a bomb shelter. Many children's playgrounds along the borders even have bomb shelters. In Gaza, the Israeli Defense Force continues to take great care to prevent civilian casualties. For example, before striking Hamas targets, the IDF often calls and texts phones before airstrikes to alert people to vacate the area before an imminent strike. The IDF is only neutralizing terrorist targets in Gaza that are directly connected to the rocket fire on Israel's cities and civilians. We are doing this in a measured and accurate manner and on the basis of unequivocal intelligence information, while also strictly adhering to the principles of international law. On the contrary, Hamas conducts its operations to generate maximum casualties, seeking to blame Israel for the mayhem. Hamas purposely conducts operations from schools, hospitals, mosques and civilian homes, knowing that Israel will not strike those areas. Hamas launches rockets from densely populated areas, knowing that any missile that falls back will cause damage and casualties within its population. Unfortunately, in all conflicts, there are casualties on both sides. Israel shows as much restraint as possible to prevent civilian casualties. With this said, we are unapologetic of the Hamas militants who are neutralized in the fighting. Please remember when analyzing international news reports, a vast majority of the numbers citing Palestinian casualties are often unreliable as the Ministry of Health in Gaza is run by Hamas. Further, a large number of those killed in Gaza are Hamas combatants. Imagine again, when you are diving for cover in your home in Boston, what you would want your government to do. We cannot and will not let 2,000 missiles go unanswered.